Hello everybody, I'm Brian Freedman, wine specialist for winechateau.com. And today we have what I think is a really interesting wine. Now, normally when people say that a wine is interesting, it's going to be one of two things. Either it's terrible and they're just trying to finesse it, like how was your date last night? Interesting. Or it refers to a wine, and this is what we're talking about here. It's a wine that, that doesn't necessarily come from a place you're familiar with or from a producer you've necessarily heard from before, but it demonstrates certain things about, in terms of flavor, in terms of aroma, that maybe we wouldn't expect. So, interesting wine here. Today we're going to be tasting the Chateau German 2005. Now, this is from Bordeaux. The appellation is called Côte de Castillon. It's on the right bank of the river. As such, we're not terribly surprised by the blend. We have a sheet here on the back. 70% Merlot, 20% Cabernet Sauvignon, 10% Cabernet Franc. So no surprise there that this is dominated by the Merlot. Côte de Castillon, like I said, real up-and-coming, exciting place. There's some great value to be found there. Certainly it lacks the cachet of, well, other appellations on the right bank, things like Pomerol or Saint-Emilion. On the left bank, it absolutely doesn't have the same notoriety as something like a Margaux or a Saint-Estèphe. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't go for it, and a lot of times you're going to pay less for it as well. What also interests me here is this is 2005. Now, 2005 is considered one of the great vintages in recent memory. And a lot of the wines of the first and second growths, they still need some serious time to develop and evolve in the bottle, in the cellar. But these other wines from perhaps lesser appellations or less highly regarded appellations, they're really at their peak right now. So let's actually see what this wine is showing today. Give this a nice little swirl and a smell. Certainly it's very, very mature on the nose. There's clay, which I often expect on the right side of the river in Bordeaux. There's a little bit of creaminess in here. The fruit certainly is not fresh anymore. It's a bit dried. There's some flowers in here. It's a very, very subtle nose. It's much quieter than perhaps we would expect. Interesting. I'm curious to see how this is tasting. All right, so this is absolutely a wine for people who prefer very, very mature wines. If you're someone who likes your big fruit bombs, this is not the wine for you. But there's certainly a segment of the wine drinking public where wines that are much more mature, much more fully evolved, this is all about the leather, the undergrowth in a forest. It's about a cigar humidor. It's a very, very evocative wine of the earth, not so much the fruit. There's a serious minerality on the finish, pronounced acidity, lighter in body. Those tannins have really melted away. It's an interesting wine. It's an unexpected wine. And I think if this is the style that you enjoy, certainly this is something that's going to deliver the goods. And any chance to have 05 Bordeaux is something that I personally would jump at. My only caution would be, if you are a lover of big, super ripe fruit and wine, I would stick with something younger. Frankly, I'd stick with something probably from a different part of the wine-growing world. But for something mature, very interesting, very expressive of what these 05s from some of these side appellations are doing right now. Interesting stuff, like I said. Thanks for stopping by. I'm Brian Freedman, wine specialist for winechateau.com. Until next time, cheers. Hello everybody, I'm Brian Freedman, wine specialist for winechateau.com. I was staring off into the side, sorry. Let's, possibly circuitous logic. Do you hear that fan going on?